Hello, everybody. Welcome to Planner News today. If you're in the US, then it's Monday, Memorial Day, which means you may have some time off work, depending on where you work. It feels weird to say Happy Memorial Day because of what it's commemorating, but for anybody who is here, able to be here live, who usually isn't on Mondays in this time slot, thank you for joining me on this this holiday. And if you aren't here live because you have to work on Monday, then I mean that's what it is. Sorry, that was probably one of the weakest openings, but honestly, I don't have a very good reason for it. Sorry, apparently I am really off my game today. Hopefully this is still fun and entertaining. For anybody who isn't in the US and doesn't know what Memorial Day is, Memorial Day commemorates the people in the armed service who have died in service. So that's what Memorial Day is about. But we are not here to talk about Memorial Day today. Here, we talk about planners, and that's what we're here to talk about today. And Monday is the day that I typically designate towards planner news, but as like last week, we don't have a ton of news coming out right now. So today's video, live, whatever, sorry, again, apparently I can't talk. I've only had a little bit of coffee today because I got up late and then things came up. So yeah, I'm under caffeinated. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. I actually got enough sleep last night, which could be part of the problem as well. Anyway, today we are going to talk about sales that are going on in the planner world for Memorial Day. And I have a couple of interesting thoughts, and I want to hear your thoughts on this matter. I will say right up front that Memorial Day doesn't have anything specifically to do with planners or planning, as many people probably know, but I'll just state the obvious. People think about starting a planner or planning usually at the beginning of either an academic year or a calendar year. So and Lynn has just given me some information that for some reason Erin Condren has been not sending a lot of their stuff to affiliates through email. And so if I don't keep track of everything anywhere else, then I fall behind. But apparently we're actually going to be talking about the monthly planner. So thank you for letting me know, Lynn. Let me first do my little thing about Memorial Day sales and whatnot. By the way, I have been mentioning for a while that I plan to expand my coverage of planner news beyond just Erin Condren, even though Erin Condren is the brand that I personally use the most and am most familiar with. But I have gone and subscribed to a lot of different planner brands' newsletters, and I literally was Googling like best Erin Condren alternatives to get the types of planners that people do, that people use, you know, in addition to Erin Condren, and that's where I got some of them. So hopefully we'll have some other stuff coming up. But as I was going through all of that yesterday, I saw that Erin Condren has been talking about the fact that they are doing a $10 off a purchase of $40 or more. That's through tomorrow. And they are also doing a thing right now where if you buy a seasonal surprise box, you can get, I believe it's 10% off of everything in your cart. I love the seasonal surprise boxes. I wasn't sure I was going to order this one because summer usually is the one that I'm not as into, but I decided I had to order it so I could do an unboxing for you guys. And so I ordered it. But as I was going through the other planner brands, I will admit that not a ton of the other planner brands were specifically plastering sales yesterday across their sites, but I only just signed up for newsletters yesterday, so I probably didn't get a lot of them. However, I did notice that Happy Planner, which is one of the big Erin Condren alternatives or competitors, I guess, one of the ones that's well known, is doing 30% off for Memorial Day weekend. And so if you compare that to Erin Condren's $10 off $40 or more, you're basically getting a maximum of 25% off. Chances are if you're buying a planner, you're going to be spending significantly more than that. I don't know. I feel like Erin Condren could do better. At least they're not plastering the whole like Memorial Day thing all over it. But I wanted to point that out because I don't know. I feel like Erin Condren can do better is really what it is. Because they are in the US, though, they often do like a big 4th of July sale and Labor Day sale and Black Friday. I mean, everyone does Black Friday now, but that's obviously about 6 months down the line. So I'd be curious to hear what you think about Memorial Day sales and whatnot. And I'm glad that I have more than that to talk about today, because I probably would have rambled for like ever and it would have been lame. By the way, I do want to mention it is humid here. And you can probably see me like wiping my lip all the time. I do that occasionally just because I sweat there. I can't stand it anymore. I'm going to turn on my desk fan. I'm sorry. There might be a little bit of a hum. I can't stand it any longer. At least it will like blow my hair out and make it look a little bigger. Maybe. We'll see. We're still working on the whole like reverting my hair back to curly wavy and doing all that stuff and trying to figure out if there's a way to do everything so that my hair doesn't... Okay, I know this is not the whole point at all, but since I'm talking about it anyway. Okay, so I have wavy curly hair. I have to do things to actually make it look like this. There's a lot of gel in here. There's product, all sorts of things. And when I wear my hair straight, having the blonde in it and having the bleach actually helps it be more manageable, having it be a little bit more damaged. But when I wear it wavy curly, those sections don't curl and wave up as easily. You know, you can't really tell because most of my natural hair is up here. But so I like the blonde, so I've been kind of trying to, figure out if there's a good way to do more blonde up here without damaging my hair. I'm going to try high lift color. If that doesn't work, I might try a bleach wash. If not, I might just grow it out and just be done. Anyway, and yes, we do have Coco and Opal running around, by the way, in case you didn't notice. Coco has been wanting my attention all of the time. She's been wanting a lot of my attention. The kittens are doing well. They're in the bathroom. They were sleeping, and honestly, I didn't want to bother them because I didn't know exactly what we were going to be doing today, and so I figured it would be better probably not to bring them out. They're also running around everywhere. So previously I would like put them in their crate on the desk and keep them there. For the most part, I could kind of keep them in there without having to spend too much attention on it. But now they're just like little 𝗫𝗏𝗡𝗏mists all over the place, and they're adorable, but it's kind of craziness. We're also in the midst of both weaning and litter training. Very, very excited for both of those. Very, very excited. I'll be happy when I don't have to wipe butts anymore. Okay. I also just want to give a quick shout out to everybody who is here so far live, because I know I like to do that and I haven't done that yet. So we have Lynn, Ackman, Caramel Cookie, Desiree, and Lainey. Oh, Lainey, you have flu? Oh my God, being sick sucks. I'm sorry. I hope you feel better soon, and I hope that this at least keeps you entertained and not focused on how bad you feel. But yeah, feel better soon. I'm just looking down the comments real fast. Okay, so I did check my spam. Who said to check my spam about the... Lynn said to check my spam about the monthly planner thing. I'm not seeing anything here. I am seeing some of the messages that I sent or the monthly planner, I guess is what you were talking about, but I am seeing some things from other companies that I signed up for newsletters for. For instance, Ivory Paper Co. is also doing 30% off. They're calling it a summer sale specifically. As I said, I found as many planner brands as I absolutely could and signed up for all the email lists so that hopefully I can bring you guys more planner news. And if you have any specific planner brands that you'd like me to keep tabs on, let me know. Also, I found out something really cool, and I feel really sad for not knowing it already because I took 2.5 years of Japanese in high school. But apparently the word techo in Japan or Japanese means essentially planner. So like the 𝗀𝗏𝗁𝗁 𝗔𝗪𝗓 is literally like 𝗀𝗏𝗁𝗁 planner is how it would translate. And I feel really silly as somebody who does really enjoy learning about Japanese culture, and granted, I do not know much of the language. I lost most of it. Basically, I always say I know enough to like be polite and apologize if I insult anybody. Apologize profusely. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting as I was going through and signing up for everything. Let's see. 𝗚𝗏𝘁 talking about being impressed by the look of the Happy Planner brand. I love the idea of Happy Planner personally, and I've looked at them so much, but the rollerblade design, like on one hand, I love the fact that it allows you to kind of put pages in and take pages out. And I know that there are a couple of other brands that do stuff like that. But at the same time, it just ends up being cumbersome and awkward to me to use in practice. Well, okay, I take that back. I haven't actually used it in practice, but I've like held them. I actually bought a Happy Planner a few years ago just so I could like hold it in my hands. I never ended up using it. But yeah, I love the idea of the rollerblade designs. But what I have seen from Japan, incidentally, is notebooks that have, it looks like it's kind of a plastic spiral. I think I was talking about this a few weeks ago, that effectively it's like a combination of a binder and like a spiral notebook. So you can take pages in and out. And I would absolutely love to see Erin Condren come out with something similar. You probably could even make it out of metal, but I'd be happy with plastic. And I feel like that would be a really great way to have like a combo between the spiral planner and the binder. I think they'd have to continue to offer the traditional spiral because you'd run into a few issues with like flipping it over on itself probably, with it like lying completely flat and whatnot. But I think that'd be so cool. And I don't think that I don't think they could really advertise it as being an actual like, not replacement, but like competitor for Happy Planner directly. And Lynn is even saying that Happy Planner sticker quality sucks. I don't know about the rest of the quality, and I haven't actually felt their paper recently, so I don't know about that. But I think that would be so cool if Erin Condren did that. You know me, I always think about like cool things, and they could charge extra money for it. So, you know, win-win, I guess. That would be so cool. 𝗚𝗏𝘁 saying that the Happy Planner discs make it look bulky. It can. Yeah, I agree. Let's see. Sharon's saying that you've used the disc planners and it's a money suck. It's hard to leave them. I can see how getting more and more accessories could kind of spiral because you can add extra pages, but that would be the same with like A5 planners, you know, or, you know, like a binder sort of thing, like a Filofax sort of thing, or like the Ring Agenda from Erin Condren. I am actually playing around with making my own Ring Agenda inserts. I probably won't sell them. It will probably just be for myself. Maybe if people want them, I could release them. I don't know how I'd do that, but I am kind of curious to see if I could effectively come up with a spread for the A5 size that is a little bit more akin to the classic Erin Condren vertical, since I know that's something we've talked about a lot. So, Sharon, okay, so the Happy Planner paper isn't amazing, but it's not terrible. It's kind of in the middle. Okay, Good to know. Disavowed all non-coil planners for the sake of my wallet. I mean, the cool thing about the disc planners, I mean, it's kind of the same thing as with, you know, some sort of like ring agenda or something like that. Obviously, if you're looking at Erin Condren, they can get spendy regardless. But, you know, if you have like the discs, you could always just buy the inserts, or, I mean, that's the same thing with the ring agenda. Like, you can just buy the guts, or you could buy inserts from anywhere. You can buy inserts from people on Etsy or whatever and add them in. And that is the wonderfulness of having that ability to put your own inserts in. Erin Condren kind of has the coil clips to do that, and I know that they were hyping those up big time a few years ago. I think they are still available, but yeah, they're not the absolute best, because they are a little bulky, and we already have a lot of bulky stickers in our planners and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and take a look at Erin Condren's Instagram post, because that's where they have the information so far that I've seen on this call exactly, because I didn't realize it beforehand, about the monthly planner. I seriously need to just make a checklist of things I have to review before news days, because I don't spend a lot of time on Instagram, primarily for my own mental health. I tend to spiral if I do. But there are, of course, specific Instagram accounts that I should be checking. And we have shown that sometimes Erin Condren releases stuff either on Instagram or other places before they release it via email lists. And based on their past patterns, my guess is that the next affiliate newsletter is going to come out in a couple of days, because they usually come out in the first couple of days of the month. But of course, almost everything in there is going to be under an embargo, so I won't be able to talk about it immediately. But yeah, that's something that I'm looking forward to, and also, I mean, helps me plan. So let's take a look here. So the monthly planner is back June 7th in new designs with more interior options than ever. This is an all-in-one calendar and productivity notebook. This all-in-one calendar and productivity notebook is perfect as a standalone planner or as a single subject tracker for budgeting, household chores, side hustle, organization, and more. Tell us in the comments, how do you use your monthly planner? Great, great, great. Okay, so will this let me? Yes, it will. Okay, so let's take a look here. So we can see here that they are showing an 8.5 by 11 here. For the monthly planner. Did they have that last year? The monthly planner is an 8.5 by 11. I think that is brilliant, especially for people that, I mean, the whole point of having the teacher planner as an 8.5 by 11 is so that you can put, you know, papers in there and whatnot. But having that for everyday people and not just for teachers, I think is great. So I think they should have more of that. And then they're showing the 7 by 9. What's really interesting is they're not showing off the A5 version. And I would think A5 would be huge for people who want the monthly planner, because something like that where you just want to like jot down meetings, you don't need enough to like fill up a whole weekly or daily spread, but it's like small enough that you could throw in a backpack or throw in a purse or throw in a messenger bag or whatever, you know, easily without having it take up all that space, I think would be really awesome. So, and also, they are only showing Harmony Colorful, In Bloom, and Harmony Neutral. So it will be interesting, since they are specifically highlighting those themes, to see if that's all they have or if they're also going to have color blends. Interesting little things. It looks like all we're seeing here is the Platinum Spiral, though my guess is we're going to have a spiral choice. But again, that is my job, to point out all the little things that we can find in here. But as far as the actual monthly pages go, it's pretty much what we have in the life planner and the teacher lesson planner. So as I predicted, you know, the monthly pages itself are not that like different or anything, but we didn't expect them to be. So that makes a lot of sense. Let's see, let's take a look at the comments to see what you guys have to say so far. Seeing a lot of picture posting about the EC coming out with the Jurassic Park items soon. Give me 1 second. I need to check an embargo date. real fast. For some reason, the exact email that I'm looking for, I always have a really hard time finding it in my list. Now I can't find it. Okay, well. I suck at this. Oh, yes. Okay. Great. It's the embargo lifted a few days ago. Yes, they are coming out with a Jurassic Park collection. Some people were sent PR for it. I was not one of them, but I also specifically said that while I would be happy to review any PR they wanted to send me for the options for that the collaborations. Huh, one of the kittens squeaked. I don't know if you could hear that, but yeah, one of them squeaked. For the option they were sending out for May, that was the one that I wasn't as enthusiastic about, and I was pretty honest about that. So I am not surprised I didn't get the Jurassic Park collection. I'm not personally a huge fan of Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. But they do have some cool stuff coming out. So yeah, should be very cool. Let's see. I see they're not mentioning color blends in that page photo. Yeah. Will they hold back a bit until the launch date for the monthly planners? I mean, there's not too much at this point they could actually hold back on, just because the monthly planners are so similar to the life planners. But I mean, they're probably dripping out and like confirming specific details over a period of time, like they've done in the past with, like, you know, a sneak peek or two, something like that. Let's actually go to the Erin Condren website. I actually pulled this up, by the way, right before. This should have gone a little bit earlier, but if you have not bought the summer seasonal surprise box from Erin Condren and you're still interested in it, it is still available, which I find really weird because a lot of times they sell out within a couple days, and this has been available for like a week now, but it is still available. It is $40. That includes shipping. And they are usually pretty good value. I know we already talked about that, but I just wanted to mention that before, since I was on the page. So anyway, let us go here, and teacher focus, petite, come on, monthly planner. There we go. I wanted to see if we have a little sneak peek thing here. Nope, we do not. It just says back soon. So, yep. Lynn, this is the first year you won't be getting a monthly planner. Are you doing other types of planners, or is there a reason why the monthly planner is no longer working for you? I kind of end up going back and forth. Sometimes I use the monthly planner, but in my life planner, I don't tend to use my monthly pages. So it's really weird that I sometimes I use it and sometimes I don't. Anyway. Ackman, you bring up an interesting thing. People might not be as excited about the seasonal surprise box this time around because of past purchases. I wonder if there's a pattern of the season after a really popular seasonal surprise box, next season's is really big. I know I know the spring one was specifically very floral, and that's not everybody's cup of tea, but at least it was properly disclosed. So to some extent, like, if you're not a fan of the theme of the month, like, they give you a little bit of information. Like, you can kind of tell from the box, like this time around we have like the, tropical banana leaves and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I wouldn't expect to open this up and get snowflakes, So just part of it could be that. Part of it could also be that, we've been dealing with a lot of stuff as a society for the past, 2 years now. And this, we're starting the summer, we have vaccines and restrictions are lifting and all sorts of things. And, maybe people aren't focusing as much on spending money on stationary stuff. They're focusing on spending money for stuff that can be done, for outside, for traveling, now that a lot of those restrictions are lifting. So, yeah. Ackman, the monthly planner page states, did I miss that on that page? Oh, okay. Yes. So now I know what you're talking about. So this, I believe, was last year's picture. Let me see. Yeah, mid-century circles or flora. Okay, so the 8.5 by 11 isn't new. I just didn't know that. But because this is last year's, they could still introduce an A5 version. Sharon, I agree. The fall and the winter boxes are a little bit more my preference. Sometimes the spring. Summer, as I said, is not really my jam. This time around, I decided to get it specifically for the unboxing. So, people mostly get the monthly for budgeting. Interesting. I have used the monthly for content planning. And while I was looking at a bunch of different planner brands over the weekend, actually, I saw one brand, I forget which one it was off the top of my head, that specifically had a planner that they said was for content planning, which is kind of interesting. But lately with me, sometimes I still use the monthly for content planning, but I think I've mentioned before, I tend to use the weekly pages in my planner for planning in the week, and then more of my monthly planning gets done on Google Calendar because it's on my phone and I don't have to worry about bringing a planner with me. So that is just kind of my personal preference. Obviously, everybody is going to be a little bit different with this. And I feel like someone said there was like a reel on Instagram. I suck at reels. Something is coming. 6/1 summer savings event, last call. Okay, so yeah, that was all that jazz. If you do want to check me out on Instagram, by the way, I almost never post anything, but I'm at 𝗏_Williams. But yeah, don't expect much from me there. Occasionally I'll post a story or a post, but when I say occasionally, we're talking like often months in between. So don't expect anything. Yay. All right, so I'm trying to think. Is there anything else on the Instagram that we haven't really talked about? I don't think so. A lot of this stuff we have already talked about. I don't know if I ever specifically mentioned the nurse and healthcare worker collection. But yeah, we have a lot of pictures of stuff we've already looked at just because we have been analyzing all of the new releases so much. So that's what we have so far for the monthly planners. Now, something else I'm kind of interested in, I'm not sure if this would be the right time to explore it. Maybe this would be a little bit more of an on my own thing. But I know for a long time, the Recollections Planner was kind of a dupe for Erin Condren, but a lot of that was before Erin Condren kind of started changing some of their stylistic stuff. So, and this literally just popped into my head. Let me go back to screen share and let's just do, I just searched Recollections Planner. Let's see what comes up. Michael's has a lot of coupons, in case you're not familiar. Okay, so apparently, either I completely misspelled it or they're not huge at Michael's anymore, which is interesting. And okay, so it looks like Michael's is really pushing the Happy Planner. Oh, here we go, Recollections. Yeah, I'm not seeing too much in the spiral bound category. I am seeing a lot of stickers and whatnot. And I mean, Recollections at Michael's is one of their store brands. If you're not familiar, it took me a while to figure that out. So it's not just planners. They also have like glitter and other stationery stuff. But yeah, it looks like they've kind of phased out the spiral bound planners. Probably because people were either buying Erin Condren or Happy Planner. And they have more of the accessories stuff. That's very interesting. One thing I did notice as I was looking at a bunch of different planner brands, and I think I almost like started saying that, one thing I noticed is as I was looking at all the other different planner brands, I know we talk a lot about like the Erin Condren flair a lot with the different design elements and whatnot, as well as the quality of the Erin Condren paper and things like that. But as I was looking at a bunch of different planner brands and kind of just like poking through the sites, and a lot of these brands were brands I'd never heard of, I noticed that a lot of them had, I don't want to say very similar graphical design elements because there's only so much you can do with a planner, but a lot of them were very, I'm not sure how I would actually describe it. Okay, of course I'm not doing a very good job at describing it. It almost felt like very color between the lines planning in some ways. Like they felt like they all felt very similar in just not how they were laid out, but how they designed it. And again, I know I'm not articulating this very well, and I'm trying to think of a specific brand that came to mind, but I don't know. They just all blurred together in my brain, I guess, is part of what I'm saying. Like, graphically speaking, there wasn't a huge difference between some of the planner brands that I looked at and the, really cheap planners I saw at the dollar store when I went there last month to take a look. Now, don't get me wrong. The dollar store planners have like the cheapest, thinnest newsprint paper in them you could possibly think about. Like, they have like up until I actually went to like look at those planners, I'd be like, if you want to start planning and you don't have money, you can go to the dollar store and get a planner. Now I'm like, nope, because you're not going to have a good experience probably if you're at all picky about paper. But graphically speaking, a lot of lines, and like, you know how Erin Condren a lot of times when they're doing more neutral spreads, they'll do either gray lines or black dotted lines instead of black lines. And I've noticed that actually keeps the page from looking very busy with just the lines. I'll actually like do more research and articulate out my thoughts better. And there are obviously some exceptions to this. For instance, I just randomly pulled up Inkwell Press because that was the first one that came to mind, saying, trying to see if that was one of the ones that was like that. In this one, maybe it is because there are some colorful graphical elements, and I mean, you can kind of tell that the lines that are in here are definitely gray and not black, but they have a very different feel. And even though it does not have the Erin Condren feel, it does not have the feel of a lot of the other planner brands that I was seeing. And I think part of that feel of how some of the other planner brands that I said are just like busy with the lines and they almost make me feel like corporate-y. I don't know, like those are the types of planners I tried way back in the day before I knew what worked for me planning wise. And so maybe it's an association that isn't true, I guess. Just because those planners didn't work for me didn't mean that like how they were designed graphically doesn't work for me. It could, there are other reasons, and I usually don't talk about like the graphical design elements as to why those planners didn't work for me. but it really just highlighted how different Erin Condren is from a lot of the other ones. And as I just pulled up, like Inkwell Press, like it isn't Erin Condren. I mean, Happy Planner is another one that like just does not, it doesn't look generic planner, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I hope you can kind of get what I'm saying when I talk about like the generic planner look. I don't know, that generic planner look, it like turns me off. It makes me think of like old school paper planning, but not in a way that really resonates with me, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So that is just me, and my personal preferences, and I didn't do a very good job of articulating them. Sharon, you saying you're hoping that the Recollections is just not launching yet? Interesting. Now, I also saw, just as I was poking around Michael's right now, of course, I just saw this Paper House Life organized planner, and I wonder, I don't know if this is a Michael's brand, but it would be kind of interesting. I'm seeing a lot of like Paper House and TF. I'm wondering if Michael's is replacing Recollections with something a little bit more like this. And it doesn't look like they actually have too much of a look inside at the spreads. You can see a little bit here, but I mean, the picture, it's not very good at all. So Ackman's, like the corporate look of the EC Focus Planner compared to the rest of their product lineup, but you still end up with a Life Planner that's not a focused version. Yeah, I guess that's very interesting. To me, I feel like the Erin Condren focused planner, I still wish it had a little bit more Erin Condren flair, but I still feel like it doesn't have the same like feel that a lot of these other planners are having. Again, I probably just shouldn't have brought it up until I could articulate it better, because it is a very like, it's kind of a subtle thing, and it could be something that only I am really worried about. Bybog Sparkle, thank you for joining. No problem on being late. You ended up getting an OK Plans planner, as there are guidelines but no monthlies, which you don't want. Ackman getting an overload on the floral and the cursive and the rose gold look they always have. Yeah, I can see that. I agree that there should be more stuff that isn't floral. I'm picky about cursive. I love rose gold, but I think part of that is just like Erin Condren's brand identity to some extent. But they're getting to be big enough that I feel like they can definitely expand, especially with their covers. I feel like since they do offer the whole interchangeable cover thing, I feel like they should have a ton more options for interchangeable covers. So yeah. And you bring up a good point that Erin Condren is not the only planner brand that has a lot of the floral, rose gold, cursive themes out there. And I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that a lot of planners are geared towards women. And that's stereotypically what a lot of women tend to like, I guess. But not everybody does. And I feel like planning could be a lot more inclusive, both within the, the female identifying realm of things, as well as people that don't identify as female. So there's a lot that you can do just by kind of expanding a little bit at a time. I don't expect them to come out with like anything super outside of Erin Condren's scope immediately. I mean, they already have the Focus collection, which, as we've talked about, is kind of like the, stripped down male version of Erin Condren. But for instance, the Focus collection doesn't have interchangeable covers. And okay, it's focused, but you could have some more simplistic covers and, do the interchangeable cover option if you wanted. And have like basically the inside of the planner being the focused part, and then you could put, you know, if not a fun cover on it, at least have more option for cover. You know what I mean? I think that's just some like an opportunity that is being lost on them. One of the worst made planners out there was the one for Oprah Winfrey. That's interesting. The binding looked cheap and the printing inside looked bad. There was that one year, I think it was the Painted Petals year, the first year that they had, I think it was the first year that they had the neutral layout. As we were looking at it, we're like, this is either really bad printing or intentional, or both. 𝗚𝗏𝘁 doesn't do themes, just the space for you to use pen stickers as you want. And I think a lot of that is a personal preference thing. Erin Condren obviously is kind of known for their themes, and then you have people that, you know, they want a theme, or they want a theme that just isn't as like big and, you know, bold, or they want something that is a lot less of a theme, and, you know, so they can do stickers and whatnot, but still have some of the other like smaller Erin Condren design elements. It's interesting because we've talked about it before. They can't please everybody, and so maybe me saying like, oh, there's this huge opportunity that they're not taking, and they could do, you know, slowly expand into this or that and the other thing. Maybe that is me being too hard on them, because in business a lot of times they say, you know, specifically, I hear about it in the realm of Etsy sellers, since I do have my own sticker shop, like focus on one thing, one target customer, and do it well. And if anything, with Erin Condren having multiple themes as well as the Focus collection, they're focusing on several different customers there, and they're a big enough company that they can do that. But how far outside of that main target audience are they going to get before they kind of lose what they are as a brand? I mean, they can have the amazing paper without having all of the Erin Condren design elements, but then, you know, we know Erin Condren for the paper and not the design. And the company is, I mean, we all talk, it's like, oh, it's Erin Condren. I think the full company name is still Erin Condren Design. So there is, you know, the design elements and whatnot that are very recognizably Erin Condren. And you can't get too far outside of that without kind of losing that part of the brand identity. And if you wanted to change that brand identity, you would have to go about it very, very carefully and slowly and cautiously, so as not to alienate your current customer, especially because there are a lot of people like us that do like the current brand identity, and for the most part, and, you know, like the products. And so you don't want to say, oh, I'm going to focus on that person over there, and we're just going to give up on this person over here out of the blue. You have to either expand to include that person over there, or slowly pivot in a way that doesn't necessarily make this person over here feel like they've spent all this money and then are being dropped suddenly, if that makes sense. And it can be hard to pivot. I can tell you that from experience. I mean, my pivot on YouTube, which is kind of the pivot I'm talking about, was kind of half inadvertent. If you go way back on my channel, you will notice that I started with makeup videos on YouTube. And then I started expanding to other lifestyle stuff. And when I got my first Erin Condren planner, I was so excited. And I did a couple plan with me's, and those started getting views and whatnot. And so that's kind of how I ended up focusing on planners. I was also fell out of love with makeup. And anyway, it's a whole story. But I wasn't resonating with the beauty people, because there are so many other people, and there's so many other planner people, but, you know, just me, my content wasn't resonating. So when I did find the planner people, my content was resonating more with that audience. And so I kind of pivoted to that. But if I had a huge beauty fan base and completely dropped beauty entirely, then those people would have felt really ostracized if I wasn't really careful about that transition. Let's see. By Blog Sparkle, I loved Painted Petals too. When we were looking at my past planners, I agree that the printing on that planner was not the best, but I loved the theme. I loved painted petals, kaleidoscope, layers. Those are the ones I liked a lot, I think. Harmony, it's so funny because at first I really liked Harmony and then I kind of like fell out of love with it. I think I like Harmony more with all the colors there than on like the monthly pages where you just have like one color or shades of one color. I don't know, that doesn't do it for me as much. So yeah, that is my thought on themes, I guess. But it's so interesting how much we differ on themes. I mean, some people like will love a theme so much and other people will just hate it so much. And even I have said like, oh, I think 3 themes, you know, kind of 4, with the fact that we have usually the quote unquote main theme, in this case, Harmony. They have the colorful and the neutral. You know, oh, you know, that's kind of extreme. But then you get people that are very much in like one camp. I love this theme. I hate this theme. So I can see how kind of, I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, what they are trying to do with the multiple themes is touch on those different audiences, which is what I was talking about. I just didn't kind of see what the whole multiple themes thing was about. So maybe they are, no, I was going to say maybe they are trying to move away from florals a little bit subtly, but they're releasing enough stuff that's floral that I don't think so. I think they're just trying to super slowly add other stuff. I think they could go a little faster than they currently are doing, but the fact that they are adding Star Wars and Jurassic Park and things that are not typically girly, I think is really great and reaches a different audience beyond, you know, maybe their original target customer. We also had Wonder Woman. I don't know if that's still available, but we had that, and you know, just different other, I guess, franchises. I think when I was looking at the different planners, Happy Planner, their website had stuff with Disney, which was kind of cool. So Erin Condren was probably not going to do anything with Disney. I'm trying to think of like other big franchises out there. It's interesting that the only superhero one that we got, maybe not interesting per se, but you know, the only like big superhero collaboration that we've gotten is Wonder Woman, which is of course a female focused superhero, versus some of the other ones, or most of the other ones, that are a little bit more, you know, male focused. Like we haven't gotten, I don't know, Iron Man or, I don't know, Thor. But I mean, planners, again, a lot of the target audience is going to be women, whether that's just stereotypical or societal. I mean, we could talk about that all day, but everybody, okay, I shouldn't say everybody. Almost everybody plans in some way, shape, or form, whether you use a physical planner or you use a digital planner, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it just comes down to personal preference with what kind of planner you use, and there are a ton of different options. And Erin Condren, as I said, focuses on their own customer, their own specific customer, even if they are trying to expand a little bit more slowly than I would like them to. Lynn, I've heard a lot of people say that they really liked Just My Type and it should come back permanently. It was not my cup of tea, which is kind of interesting. Like, again, just goes to the whole, like, people tend to be passionate, super passionate about one theme over another. For instance, at first I was not a huge fan of color blends, and now I absolutely love it. It is simple. It has those colorful marks on it without too many like extra design elements to interfere with my stickers, but just enough to keep a little bit of liveliness. If I don't really want to decorate it, I don't know. For me, it ended up being like a really nice, perfect balance, but it's funny how it took me a while to get there. And just kind of goes to show how just because you are instantly are drawn to something does not necessarily mean that is the right theme option for you. For me at least. For you, for anybody, all the people. Let's see. Yeah, so there's a little bit of talk about the just my type. It's interesting because if you're talking from like a girly design point standard, it is definitely very neutral and not very like flowery and girly without being not girly. I don't know. It's really annoying as somebody who does like pretty things, uh, but doesn't necessarily want everything to be like super girly. Like, okay, let's talk computer accessories for a minute. I know it's not planners, but this is something that frustrates me a lot. A lot of computer stuff or like electronics is either very, very, I don't know, like gamery or very, very like girly, kawaii pink. I'm like, I don't want either of those. I want something in the middle. No worries about having to leave 𝗙𝗏𝘁. Thank you for coming. And also, thank you for joining us, TJ. Just saw that you were here. But yeah, there are a lot of things when it comes to design, and I'm sure that there are some like this more on like the masculine end of the spectrum that I just don't notice because I tend to be on more of the feminine end of the spectrum. But yeah, with computers, it's very frustrating sometimes that I'll be looking for something like a new keyboard or I don't know what have you, a new monitor, and like maybe monitors aren't a good idea or aren't a good example, but there are a lot of things that I'm like, seriously, like you could make this look a little nicer. Does not have to be super like tech look, you know? Like there is that is one aesthetic that is not necessarily the aesthetic I want to go for. And as you can probably tell, my desk is in the middle of my living room. So while I do really like electronics and computers and, you know, I spend a lot of my time in front of a screen, whether it be my computer or my phone, or usually it's my phone, but yeah, whatever it be, I want it to look nice and kind of meet my aesthetic a little bit. And I feel like there aren't enough options out there for people that don't want like super gamery stuff with all the cool lights and whatnot. That's just not the vibe I want in the middle of my living room. So. 𝗚𝗍𝗜 is kind of going the kawaii or cute route on the new items like the Star Wars and Jurassic Park. I think it is because they do have a female target customer, and so they're trying to take those things and kind of focus it towards their target customer. And on one hand, I actually like, I do kind of appreciate trying to like bring a little bit of like femininity design into those things because, you know, as I'm saying, sometimes you don't get those design elements when they could look really good or be there, especially because like general like geekery is, I don't want to say coming into the mainstream because it has kind of been here for a while, but I mean, I've been kind of a geek most of my life. So, you know, it is nice to see that, even though like I'm not a Jurassic Park fan, like kind of seeing that brought in, and like, you know, Star Wars, again, not a huge Star Wars fan, but you know, Star Wars fans get labeled nerds a lot, and so, or geeks, and so seeing that, you know, become mainstream and something that everybody, you know, can like and not be completely crazy for. You're not like a total geek if you go to Comic-Con anymore and things like that. I absolutely love that. And I do like that they are then taking those things and kind of designing them to, you know, kind of to meet different design aesthetics. I just think that it doesn't always have to be super girly at the same time. Like you can do both. You can release a collection, kind of like the Pride collection. Like there were 4 different designs in the Pride collection, and I was talking about how everything was like, almost all of it was super floral. I have no problems with florals in a vacuum, but like, let's say like 2 of them were floral and botanical, and then 2 of them like brought in the same colors but were other things. I think that would have brought a really nice balance so that there was kind of a little something for everyone, whether you're a floral fan or not. Hope that makes sense. Yeah. I need to actually, it's so funny. I I've seen, I think 3 or 4 of the Star Wars movies, but I have almost no recollection of them. I know, to anybody who's a Star Wars fan, that's like blasphemy. But I feel like I need to watch them to the point, at least the original trilogy, to the point that I actually kind of know what's going on, because the ones that I have seen, I think I saw episode 4 and then I saw 1, 2, 3. And even though I don't have much of a recollection of 1, 2, and 3, I have almost no recollection of episode 4, and I know 4, 5, 6 were like the good ones. Oh, and then I saw the other one, the one with Rey that came out a few years ago. Don't remember too much of that one either. I remember she was kind of badass, but that's about it. Yeah. I agree, Ackman. There's more to Pride items than just like having rainbows. I mean, rainbows are great. Don't get me wrong. Love the rainbows. In fact, Pride in my Etsy shop last year was bigger than Christmas because I have a lot of Pride items in my Etsy shop, and this year is shaping up to be pretty big as well. So I'm gonna be pretty busy this month with Pride stuff. A lot of my stuff is rainbow or different Pride flag related, so I'm like not really one to talk. But anyway, there is more to Pride designs than rainbows. And now that you put it like that, I guess I can say the fact that the Pride designs weren't just rainbows, in some ways actually is stepping outside kind of traditional Pride items, even if it was very floral, which is very, traditional Erin Condren, even though, like, I mean, not even all of their planner designs this year. Like, I mean, they had 3 different themes, only one of which was floral, but then they have a Pride collection that's like all florals. They also have the rainbow stuff. It's kind of interesting, kind of how some of that marketing is going, how there's so much emphasis on the floral, but then like in some places they're like, oh, we have it there for people that like it, but we have all these other options. Let's see, looking back at the chat, Sharon, I mean, if you really want to be old, you can be old, but age, I mean, it's just a number. it's just a number. I am in my 30s, and half the time I still feel like I'm in my 20s. I had a quarter-life crisis when I realized that I was like 25 and not 26. I'd like miscounted the years. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. I think once you get to like your mid or late 20s, at that point, for the most part, age is a number. There are, of course, different times in life you can be in, but like as someone in my 30s, I am single. I don't have kids. I like on the level of like relating to people, like someone who is married with kids, we could still be friends. I don't have any friends that are married with kids, but nothing wrong with being friends with them, but they're in a very different stage of their lives. So there's things that we can't relate to each other on. So just because I'm the same age as someone doesn't necessarily mean I can relate to them on something. If someone is 15 years younger than me, or even, I've even met people that were like, in their teens at like YouTuber events. It's been a long time, but it's like, okay, obviously, like as an adult, I have to make sure not to be creepy. But apart from that, like we can have a conversation like as people, So I don't think that's too bad. Yeah. Sharon, I have heard that like as people get older and just have more experience, like you can really enjoy life that much more. And I have to say, like being in my 30s, I'm 33. I don't know if I've actually specifically said I'm 33. I think I'm 33. I was born in 89, for anybody who cares. Anyway, like there are some parts of me that's like, oh, if I was in my 20s, I could do this, that, and the other thing. But honestly, I was like an emotional, insecure mess when I was in my 20s. Am I emotionally insecure sometimes now? Oh, yes. I have my moments. I have my times. I have my times when I'm like, oh my God, my YouTube channel sucks. I suck as a creator. Like, I've been doing this for so many years and I've only like done so much, but then I like think about it and it's like so many people couldn't do YouTube for as many years as I have, even though I have done it on and off. Like I haven't been consistent, but whatever. Like there are so many things that I have accomplished that other people haven't accomplished, even if my accomplishments kind of don't look that big based on what other people have done. And sometimes it's hard to really put that into perspective. I actually had a like group meeting with my business coaching group the other day, and I honestly just like stopped in to like say hi to everyone, but they ended up coming to me and they were talking about like, oh, what do you want to do and stuff like that. And so the whole thing about me live streaming came up, and my business coach was like basically telling me like, if you're gonna live stream, you should be doing it like 5 or 6 times a week, and you should probably switch to Twitch because it's the biggest live streaming platform in the world. And if you're not going to make actual videos, you shouldn't be doing it on YouTube. And here I'm thinking like, I feel like YouTube is my home in a lot of ways, and maybe she's right. Like, I come here and I usually have between like, I don't know, 4 and 15 people here live, whatever. But I have fun here. As I said, like YouTube feels like my home. It's where I started, even though I'm not doing pre-recorded videos anymore. Like I'm here and this is where I'm making my content. And when I go to watch media, I don't necessarily turn on the TV and flip through the channels like the first thought. I go to YouTube. Like I watch so much YouTube that is just like where I am, and that's the community I feel comfortable being a part of. Now, from a business standpoint, I might give Twitch a try. There are definitely some benefits to being on Twitch, but I feel like the planner community is so much more on YouTube than on Twitch, and I just want to be here and have a good time because I've decided this a few times over, but I decided that I'm not going to be on YouTube or really make any videos or do live streams at all if I'm not having fun with it. And so there are so many things that I've like stopped really worrying about. Like even before I stopped editing at all, I recognized I didn't like editing. So I'm like, okay, great. I'm not going to do a lot of editing because I don't like that part. And then this year I'm like, I'm going to live stream because you know what? Even with like cutting down the editing, don't like that part. And I was basically filming everything in one take anyway, and just chopping off the beginning and the end to like make it a little bit nicer, but whatever. I mean, I have my starting soon and ending screens now here on YouTube. Live streaming and talking to you guys is just, it makes it so much more fun for me because we get to have a conversation about what's going on. And it's not just me like talking to a camera and then putting it out into the ether and then having a text conversation with people. I mean, you guys are still typing to me, so we are doing that, but we are having it a little bit more in real time. And, for instance, today, because I hadn't checked Erin Condren on Instagram, I didn't realize that they had given us any information about the monthly planners yet. I thought that was still upcoming, but because you were able to give that to me, I was able to then go and look at content I didn't realize was there yet. So I know that's like a whole kind of like rambly thing, but I feel like even when you're getting like, business advice or whatever, you also have to look at it and like your perspective. Cause like, my business coach or my business coaching group, obviously she's giving me feedback based on like what can make me the most money, which is great. I mean, primarily that's kind of my Etsy shop stuff, but I also kind of know what I need to be doing, at least in the short term, on my Etsy shop. And I view YouTube kind of as like half meeting people that I can kind of like drive traffic towards the Etsy shop, but also just having fun, because I started YouTube initially because I watched a lot of YouTube and I thought I could contribute to the community. Again, back in the day, that was makeup. Now it's planners, but this is kind of like half just for funsies, but I can also kind of call it work, which is really cool. Now, if only I could make a full-time streaming or full-time income streaming on YouTube. Maybe I could someday, maybe if I streamed more. But the other thing is I also don't want to get burnt out on streaming. And that's why I'm only streaming 2 times a week currently. I might bump it up to 3, but I don't want to get burnt out on it and then start to, ooh, birdie. Sorry. I don't want to get burnt out on it and start to resent it, because that's not fun. I'm here to have fun ultimately, and yeah, that's you guys make it fun. Sorry, that was like a huge long ramble about my insecurities and everything, but yeah, thank you for being here. Whether you're here live or happen to watch the replay and manage to get this far in it, thank you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much. Yeah, let me go back and read over the chat, because there's been stuff going on that I haven't really been taking a look at. He just never tell that to my doctor that scheduled me for the over 50 test once I hit 50. Yeah, well, all you have to do is just like really suck at making regular doctor's appointments, and then they won't be able to schedule as many of those tests for you because you won't see them as often. Worst advice ever. Let's see. I know. So when I was working in my corporate job, I was just reading Ackman's next comment about like most of your coworkers were not born until the 80s and you know feel old or whatever. When I was working in corporate, I mean, like, I never really, there are a couple people that you could kind of tell how old they were, but I mean, a lot of people I couldn't. Maybe I'm just bad at that stuff. But at this time, I was in my late 20s. I was probably like, I don't know, 28, 29, somewhere around there. And I don't know how how my actual age came up, but there were a couple people that came up to me that's like, oh my God, I thought you were like 21. And I'm like, I'm not sure if I should take that as a compliment because I look young or as an insult because I'm immature. I decided to take it as a compliment because I looked young, but who knows? Maybe they did think I was immature. This was before I was diagnosed with ADHD, which can often be misconstrued as being immature. But I'm also maybe not the queen of masking, but I mask so hard in a lot of situations that I just get very, I wear myself out. So yeah, that is one thing. As much as I like go a little crazy from not like, you know, the past couple of years and like having to stay inside more and stuff like that, I'm still being very careful because I have people in my family who are high risk and I don't want to get anyone sick. And that's like, and I know that's a personal decision. I'm not trying to get on anybody, but I will say, because when I go out and I'm around people, I like subconsciously mask. And for anybody who's not familiar with what masking is essentially like putting up a mask or a facade so that you appear like you are everybody else, I guess. Like, you know, so for people with ADHD, like, you know, you appear as if you don't have ADHD, as if you're neurotypical instead of neurodivergent. So, and that's why especially a lot of women don't get diagnosed until later, because women are also taught by society in general to, you know, not make a big fuss and kind of go with the flow. So there's like a lot of those gender things that also kind of contribute to that, that kind of, you know, that go along with that. And that's why we're having like this huge boom of people getting diagnosed with ADHD because of like all the factors. And we're like, oh, whoa, like all my life I've been going through this and I didn't even realize it. So for me, like, I realize when I am in those situations where I just unconsciously mask to like be like everybody else, it takes so much more energy out of me than it would, just otherwise, just by being me. So yeah, that, but then you have to try to figure out how to take the mask off and stop it because it's so ingrained. Just kind of like, if you're in a specific situation, like, as kids, we learn, how to behave, like when I'm trying to think of a specific example, like if you're in a library, you don't yell. And, a little kid might know that or might not know that, but eventually they learn that, like, when you're in a library, you're generally quiet. But, there are other social rules like that go everywhere, and not a lot of them are natural to people who are neurodivergent. And I know people who are on the autism spectrum often have a really hard time as well because their neurodivergent can go even more against what society has put into place or against societal norms, and can have even harder time getting accommodations. Whereas a lot of like ADHD accommodations, when you think about that, are things that can kind of help everybody. Whereas that's not always true for people on the autism spectrum. But yeah, I definitely did learn to mask, and yeah, it's exhausting. I don't know how I got onto that. But yeah, that's my whole ramble about that. Aw, thank you guys for all the sweet stuff in the chat that I'm just reading. And Sharon, thank you for saying I look young. It's because I never go outside and I don't have any sun damage. That's the benefit of, staying in front of a computer all day, I guess. I don't know. I actually did one of those like screen things where it like photographs your skin and you could see like what sun damage you have underneath. And this was a few years ago. This is back when I was doing beauty stuff on YouTube. I went to Generation Beauty, which I don't even know if it's still going on, but at least when it was, if it isn't now, or Gen Beauty, it was a kind of like a makeup convention basically. And so there was a brand, a skincare brand, I want to say it was 𝗫𝗓𝗏, that would bring this machine and it would image it, and then they could see like the underlying damage. And there's like, yeah, you don't actually have a ton of sun damage. I'm like, yes, being an indoor, not recluse, but being an indoor person really paid off on that. Whereas the friend that I was there with, Miss Lee, occasionally she drops in. I don't think she has lately, but she's also not a planner person, so I don't blame her. And I've been like, hey, don't feel like you have to come. I know like you're not huge on planners, but she's like one of my YouTube friends. And she is like, we saw a little bit more sun damage on her, but she also really loves to be outside. So it kind of makes a lot of sense. And Ackman, you're right. There is not a lot of sun some days in Oregon. Yeah. Pacific Northwest in general, not a ton of sun a lot of days. And even some of the days, like it's nice out there right now, but like I see some clouds in the sky. So for all I know, in 30 minutes, it could be raining. But as somebody who likes to stay inside and wasn't planning on going outside anyway, it doesn't really bug me. In fact, now that we're getting into the summer, it's starting to get warmer and more humid, which is the part I hate. So hence why I don't even think the cord is long enough. I was going to show you my desk fan. It won't come up. It won't come up enough. But yeah, I have lots of desk fans, and one of the fans by my bed, like the small little desk fan that I keep by my bed, is dying. I need to buy a new one. But I have a box fan by my bed, which, is great for the really warm days. But like on the days when it's like not really warm enough to need like a whole box fan while I'm trying to get to sleep, I just need like a little bit of cool air on my face. That's where the desk fan comes in. Gotta buy another one of those. But I just realized, having coffee this late in the day, I'm gonna be up all night. That's okay. I've been sleep deprived for the past 2 weeks because of the kittens, and I'm just catching up now. We're at 5.5 hours in between feedings, in case anybody was curious. And actually, I have to go in a few minutes because I need to start getting ready for feedings at 5:30 my time, and it's currently 5:15. when I say like, oh, they have to be fed at this time, it usually doesn't mean I start feeding them at that time. It means I start getting everything ready to feed them at that time. We probably could go a little bit further in between feedings, but at this point, especially because we are trying to do weaning and litter box training, I've decided I don't want to push them too far, especially because, you know, 5.5 hours is a decent amount of time overnight. It's nothing like, you know, 3 or 4 hours. That was rough. I never want to do like 3-hour kittens. Okay. I wouldn't mind doing kittens that need to be fed like every 2 or 3 hours if I lived with someone that I could switch off shifts with. But I don't. I live by myself, and Coco and Opal will not help me with feeding the kittens on several different levels. Sometimes Opal will wait outside the bathroom for me when I'm feeding the kittens, but she would also do that sometimes before I had the kittens, you know, like that creepy thing where the cat just like waits. It's like, we're waiting for you. Yeah. She does that now too, sometimes with the kittens, except when her, when she's waiting outside while I'm feeding the kittens, it feels a little bit more like malicious or trying to figure out what's going on in there versus I'm waiting for you because you're my owner. Ackman, yeah, during the day, I usually don't go 5.5 hours between eating, but the difference is that if I want to sleep for like 8 to 10 hours, I don't need to wake up in the middle of the night to have a snack. Whereas the kittens do. I mean, human babies do anyway, too, so it's not any different with human babies. If anything, it goes on longer with human babies. It's just that I don't have human babies. That is one of the awesome things about breastfeeding, by the way, is if you breastfeed and co-sleep, then you can just roll over, feed your kid, and go back to sleep, apparently. That's what happened when I was talking to my mom last week when we were talking about this. She's like, yeah, kids are like that. I'm like, yeah. Part of the reason why I don't have kids, part of the reasons why I got cats and not some other animal is because they are low maintenance, yet will remind you when they're hungry. And while I have trained my cats not to wake me up in the morning, they will remind me when I forget to feed them. So, yeah. Aw, thank you for saying Opal is a pretty cat. I think she's pretty. She's a void kitty. Are you a black hole kitty? She and Coco, we've decided, are land eels because of the way they like walk and kind of like slither around. But I've decided that the kittens are pufferfish because of the way their stomachs go whoop after they feed. They're cute. And sometimes I'll literally like be like, huh, did you get enough to eat? And I'll like go touch their belly to see how like taut it is. Not that I'll like force them to eat more if they didn't eat as much as I thought they should or their stomach's not taut, but I also do weigh the kittens every day to make sure that they're gaining weight. That's one thing you do have to do. Make sure they don't get into trouble. Because you don't want the kittens to, I was going to say fail to kitten, but that, I mean, that's a nice way to put it, I guess. You don't want anything to happen to the kittens. They're very cute. They're very cute. Yeah. Alrighty. I think this is a good stopping point and a time for me to sign off. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for everyone who was here live. Thank you for everybody who did decide to watch the replay. I appreciate you. If you want to check the next stream, I will be live again Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific. Definitely check it out. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing then. Maybe designing some more stickers at your request. That was kind of fun last week and just hanging out. I don't know. If you have any requests for other things that we need to do, let me know. And with that, I'll see you next time.